that humankind has kind of gone through over the decades and centuries and millennia, right? So my goal was to continue to stay focused on people part of the technology piece of it, and I continue to share insight. I think, as an organization, as we focus more and more on AI, which is becoming more, more buzzwords, just as it was for big data analytics, and, how that is being utilized in our day-to-day lives makes a big difference, right? And, how do we look at people investment portion of it to technology investment portion of it as an organization is super critical. I think at times nowadays you see that go out of balance very easily. And a lot of companies have AI strategy and AI desire to want to be enablers, but we don't do enough people investments to drive the governance of the strategy, right? So the deploying the AI tool that you are purchasing and spending at times millions of dollars doesn't really become a fruitful exercise and ends up being a point of failure. Part of my focus today is to kind of just share some of the insights from, the way I look at things, right? So it's not a kind of an industry benchmark or anything like that, right? While I make reference to some of the information that's being provided by the businesses, so a lot of the reading materials, the articles that are available in the market. So, it's not anything that is not available and it's like, holy cow, it's something unique that you will never see again. The evolution for, especially as it relates to workforce, right? From moving from legacy models, some companies are still doing it, right? And depending on the size and scale and complexity that companies deal with, it's okay, right? But at some point, as the technology evolves and it gets more and more current, more easy to adapt, more easy to deploy, more easy to kind of integrate and intertwine in your ecosystem, it'll become a lot easier to kind of adapt and become normalized to that as a day-to-day life, right? And I think, from legacy models to the modern WFM models, that, all of us are working in some facets, right? From a technology standpoint for the providers that are here or the partners that are here to the core WFM team members who are working the operations day in and day out. Some of you guys may have other responsibilities with the BI, with the HR, with other technology functions within your organizations. Getting a unison ecosystem is super critical, right? And I think the more I think about how do we look at workforce as a practice, or in my case, right, I also support the quality and some portions of the BI and reporting pieces. How do I make that work seamlessly for the organization so the operators and our client partners have the highest probability of having a higher success rate in engaging with our clients? Going into looking at industry, it's massive, right? I mean, if you have not seen this number, let it sink in, right? This is just the outsourcing industry. How much is evolving from the year over year? From, some of you guys have been around the ecosystem for a couple of minutes, I'll see. Anybody here longer than 20 years in the ecosystem? Right, so you guys have seen changes from the old dial-ups, the outbounds, all the things that used to be super manual, very chaotic, to what we see day in and day out today, right? The progression of the market has continued to evolve for the business that has gone through, right? And you see some of the big hitters in this. And as the industry is getting diversified, a lot of these providers that many of us come from, you'll see a lot more focus on the voice AI capabilities, the technology augmentation and investments that we are doing. From a quality perspective, there is a sentiment analytics, right? How do you kind of bridge all of those things that continues to evolve what we are doing as a partners to the captive ecosystems, right? I think that distance that used to be that you are just one of the providers to you are our core partners, and how you are becoming a more and more strategic partner is becoming very, very transparent now, right? More clients you'll see they're becoming more mature. They're seeing BPOs as strategic partners that provide a value, and there is obviously a cost play for all these organizations. They're looking to outsource, right? Otherwise, they would just kind of keep it in-house and do what they need to do for their ecosystem. But having a synergy, the expertise that BPOs bring in, the tons of clients that these BPOs are supporting comes in handy, right? From a growth standpoint, what we are seeing, again, just picked up a couple of reference points from an industry standpoint as well as from a geo standpoint. From where we are to where we'll be in just next 5 to 10 years is a massive shift, right? So all the fear mongering and all that stuff goes on that, holy shit, AI is gonna take my job. It's not, right? But yes, if you're completely oblivious to what the AI can do for you, yes, you will lose your job at some point or somebody else will take it for you. So I think the market, the benchmarks, the market's ascending, the trends that different industries are setting up, from BFSI to, some of the government work that we do, from, healthcare that is going through super amount of changes within, not only from regulation standpoint, but also from what they're able to outsource, what they're not able to outsource, and, let's not even get into political chaos, right? That kind of drives between the different regions, and that's going to continue to evolve over the next several years, right? And, your guess is as good as mine on how that's going to be from today to tomorrow. So, as we kind of focus on what is going to be your respective success for your own respective organization, right? How much of a run your organizations are making, right? I think every company wants to be an Accenture and be $60 billion, right? Does that mean that that's only plateau for success? No, you can be $100 million, $200 million, $500 million, and still be exceptionally successful, right? Ultimately, it's going to kind of come down to, if everybody has the same Boeing or Airbus plane and similar configurations, what is your differentiator? Your CX is your differentiator, right? I think people make a big difference, and how we enable in this room, right, from a technology-enabled standpoint, HR enablement standpoint, from reporting and BI enablement standpoint, how do we enable our operators and ultimately our client relationships is going to be a big, big change, right? I think so, for all of our organizations collectively, me doing it for mine, all of you guys are respectively doing it for yours. I think all of us have the right intent, and while this is many of these relationships are competitive internally, but I think all of us are able to learn from each other, grow from each other, and I think that's wonderful. So the opportunity the GWFM provides is super awesome from my perspective. Looking at the market and then the disruptions, right? I think the having an idea of what's going to drive the automation, what is the AI component of it, and what is the intelligent integration or augmentation of the AI and the people portion of it, right? And, yes, some workload will be lost through the business, but where you can invest into people that enables them to do more complex work, right? Things that are going to drive either chaos in the ecosystem that's going to piss somebody off, and they'll go out and post something on social media, and takes an hour for it to reach 10 million people, and that has a very detrimental effect on the business, right, and the client relationships. How do we kind of look at what we use the AI for, and more importantly, how do we enable our team members to use the tools that are available? The tools that we are spending hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on a yearly basis, if you don't get a good use out of it, you're just literally wasting money. I think from one of the big things that I'll call out that I continue to learn and look to action on is having a precision in planning process, right? There's nothing you can get to at 100%, but as much you can plan, as much proactive planning you can do. And then the second part of it is, I'll call it orchestrated workforce platforms, right? And that allows for you to react to the business environment, right? How your client relationships are changing, whatever is happening in the client ecosystem. The new iPhone release came out, right? So if you have telco providers, the chaos is coming. Samsung will have its own release that's going to come through, right? So as a lot of these changes kind of come through, AI will help us predict a lot of these things. But if we don't have the ability to react to that in time, That's the agility that business and partnerships are requiring. Learning and development, I think that is a very dear and near to my heart. And how do we develop our teams, right? And that's not to say that we don't drive accountability and responsibility for what we are supposed to be doing day in and day out. But the focus is on how do I develop somebody that they can do their jobs better, right? That gets them ahead of the curve on what the AI might impact their day-to-day life, right? From a RTA standpoint, like a lot of things that we are doing, that might replace our RTA ecosystem, because there is a lot of monotonous work that we do traditionally, right? As the new ecosystem kind of comes in, some of the self-service comes in, some of the newer tools that have AI embedded augmentation in it, that requires less and less involvement from RTAs. How do you deal with that, right? Yes, people will be impacted, or your option is that you can train them up, skill them up, and enhance their ecosystem, so we can provide a hyper-focused engagement with our stakeholders, our clients, our partnerships, right? Things you can do differently with your talent acquisition team that allows you to do a better skill mapping from a quality standpoint that intersects with the training and talent acquisition standpoint, right? How do you use all the data that's available to you to make a decisive decisions there just in time that allows you to have that advantage against your competitor, right? And I think that's ultimately will be the goal. It is a team sport, right? No matter how you look at it, if you say that only operations runs the business, operations has the critical part of it, managing the P&L. Workforce has its place, quality has its place, training has its place, IT has its place. It is a team sport, so, Formula One teams, anybody know how many team members they have for each of the teams? They spend billions of dollars every year. Two? Each team two? Not the overall ecosystem. Yeah, 1,000, 1,500 people for every single car that races. And one of the unique things that I saw that in 50s and 60s and 70s, it used to take them 67 seconds to do a switchover of the 4 tires, refuel the car, and just do a basic maintenance for them to keep going. Nowadays, they do that in 2.4 seconds, right? Let that sink in, right? That's 1,200 people working in unison to deliver an exceptional performance. And I think that's where the big difference is going to come through for all of us. Ultimately, how do we make the team work? How do we enable our teams, our frontline team members, as well as our own team members to do their jobs a little bit easier and a little bit better? Thank you.